Okay, so now I'm working on a Jeep that had a bunch of scratches in the middle of the hood. And instead of making the color match, we're going to do a blackout on the hood and do a two-tone. So right now I've got it sanded, I've got the hardware taken off and some of the chips repaired, and I'm just starting to lay out the striping. So to show you how I'm doing that, I thought I would film this. So we're going to flip it around. I got one of the stripes laid out already. There it is there. So basically, I lost my place to park my phone. So anyway, basically what I do is once I get the one side where I want it, I'll take a piece of tape and I'll mark it to the dimensions on the hood. If you can see right there, that's the stripe. That's where it's left. Then I place another piece of tape over on the other side, which I've already done. And I take this tape because I don't know where you guys went. You're somewhere over here. Hold on. Camera's dying on me. So I've marked this tape off already because it's not going to be the same, so you have to flip it around. And I put the markings on the opposite side of the tape and flipped it around. And as you can see, that's where that works out to. So now I'm going to take this piece of tape, which is a measurement from the other side of the hood, and I'm going to lay it up there. Let me see if I can get this just sit pretty. No? All right. So anyway, this tape's marked from the other side of the hood. I have a pen. So what I did was I marked it on the cowl and indicated where this tape line's supposed to be. And this one transfers over pretty decently. It translates to where I don't have to figure it out. So I have no idea. This thing's trying to follow me, I guess. I'm over here in that camera. Can you find me? This way. What are you doing? Why are you spinning around? Well, obviously I haven't figured out how to master this thing yet. So we're going to leave it there and call that good. And I'm going to run my tape. It's one of those hot rod guys. I'm going to run my tape from my starting point, which is right there. And I'm going to come down here and find my mark here, which is right there. So now I can lift my piece of tape up. And these two lines are going to be exactly the same from side to side. So now that's the inside. This line represents the inside of the panel. It's going to be painted black. Because I'm using this tape, I'm leaving another piece of stripe. So I put this second piece of tape down and follow it as best I can. Line those two edges up without overlapping. A little gap is okay. And I'm talking, smaller than a human hair kind of little gap. But as long as it's not overlapped, wouldn't hurt if I put my glasses on. As long as it's not overlapped, it'll give me a very nice parallel line to follow. Because what I'm going to do here, I'm going to lay down a third piece of tape, and then I will be taking the center piece out when I paint, and that's going to be the last bit of black that's on this hood. So if I'm very careful with that center piece of tape, I can reuse it on the other side. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I'm just using it as a spacer to give me a parallel line between the two pieces of tape. So if I don't jack this one up too much, I can use it over again on that side. So this is what we end up with, is a gap, and that's what I'm looking for. So I'm looking for a gap to lay between the sides. This tape stretches a little bit when you rip it, so I've got to compensate for that stretch. Anyway, over the years, you're going to find out masking is not as easy as it looks. To lay out a nice line, it's extremely difficult. Your arms waver, your eyes waver. So the steadier you can be by stabilizing your hand, the better off you are. And of course, getting on it and checking it with your eye after you're done, that helps too. Because the bottom line, it's got to look good. You just can't measure out straight. It's got to look good. Sometimes measuring doesn't always give you what you want. So you got to double check your work. So that's ready for its next stripe, which parallels that one because that one's the insert that's going to get peeled back off the hood. You see I'm resting the tape on the car? It keeps me from wobbling. If I got to adjust it, you can see me making micro adjustments with my angles here, just so it lines up, right? And if you regulate your breathing, and you can hold that tape line on target, believe it or not, breathing will mess me up. And I'm not a heavy breather. It's just like shooting. Taking a deep breath, let a little out, stabilize your body, control your limbs, pull the trigger. Those are keepers, the center one's not a keeper. So now, my paper machine will mask off and protect the rest of that hood from overspray. Black, copper where it's protected, black, copper where it's protected. So as that's sprayed out, that's how this thing's gonna look. Back over to this side. And those little scuffy spots you see, that's where there was some small chips and dents that I straightened out and then did a little finish putty, that polyester putty, so that it gets all the waver out of the hood. It's that easy. So I'm not really worried about this paint on this tape, because usually what you do is you take this first and then put that on so you can rip that back off again. But I'm going to set this up so that I can rip this off immediately, paper and all. As the paint starts to skin over, if it gets too dry, sometimes it wants to peel off like cellophane. Like when you're opening up a sandwich or something, it just all starts going. So about half a minute after you've sprayed it, you should just grab the paper and just peel it off and peel this center one out of the way so that it does not want to lift the edges. So you got to remember that as I'm setting up my taping, got to be able to get that free and clear. So I'll show you what I'm talking about when I put the next piece of tape down. So this piece is to protect the cowl and the hinges and stuff like that. I don't want to put it over top of this because then I'll have a hard time peeling this off, right? So what I do want to do is I want to lift this and I want to set this down over top of where this paper can rest. So now I can just grab this. I'm going to fold this over on itself so it doesn't stick completely down. And I'm going to do about 1/2 of an inch of that. And now I've got a nice little piece that I can pull. Same thing here. I'm going to do a 1/2 inch, last 1/2 inch of the paper. So when I want to go peel it up, I don't have to sit there and fiddle around with it. I've got a pull tab now. So anyway, cover up the rest of this mess in the car. And we'll be squirting pretty soon. Sorry, forgot about you. I'm over here now. Right. Same thing, get this stuff out of the way. Chewy! World famous Chewy. Just did a drive-by. Sure, I'll go do that. We have mice. Somebody let a mouse in the shop. Now they're propagating.